everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is something a little bit different that I haven't seen before, at least in the United States. This is the OPPO R17 Pro, and they were nice enough to send this along so I could check it out. And you'll see here it says that it's got 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage. So it's got a really nice simple package, as you can see here, and you can get it in the United States, but it is not available as far as directly from them. You can get it on Amazon and things, and I'll link those in the description if you want to check it out yourself. Now, this is on the premium end of smartphones, so let's open it up here and see what we've got. So we'll pull this out of here and see what we have here. So that's the phone itself. Let me set that aside for just a moment. And this has some pretty interesting things about it. So we do get a free case with it. So that's nice. Free case, it's got a little blue tint to it, so that's nice. And then we've got some documentation, a quick guide, and important information guide. We also have a SIM card removal tool. So let's pop this out of here so we can see if we have anything as far as expandable storage or anything like that. And I'll put this away. And then also here we have the Super VOOC charger, which is supposed to be the fastest charging phone there is. So this should be kind of interesting. You'll see it's USB-A, but the other end is USB-C. And then we have this little container here. This looks very much like Apple's AirPods. Let's see, how do we remove this here? Oh, there we go. So here what we have is some headphones that look like they have USB-C on the bottom. And then we have the charger. And as you can see here, USB-A to USB-C. And it's recommended that you use this charger to get the fastest charging speeds. So I'll set this aside. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. Let me set this aside as well. So here's the phone itself. And the phone actually has a smaller size than I expected. But let's open this up here. And this is a color I wasn't expecting. I've seen this in a different color, but this one looks pretty nice. It's a green color. So it's kind of a forest green with a black gradient to it. It's pretty nice. So I think it looks pretty good. Let's turn it over. You'll see it has a teardrop notch there. And one thing I did do is see if this is compatible with networks in the United States. And for AT&T and T-Mobile and even Verizon, it looks like it's compatible. Now, whether or not Verizon would let you put this on their network is still up in the air, but it is compatible with T-Mobile with the exception of the 700 megahertz band. So you could use it in the United States if you wanted to. And as you can see, we've got 3 cameras here. I'll talk about the specs in a moment. And on the bottom here, we have USB-C. It looks like only 1 speaker and 1 microphone there. And then on this side, you've got your volume buttons. On the top, looks like another microphone, and it's kind of flattened. It's not rounded off. It's kind of interesting. On this side, your power, sleep, wake. And then let's see what we've got in the SIM tray. So if we pop the SIM tray out, I believe it's dual SIM. I don't think there's expandable memory here. So we do have dual SIM card ability here. Put this back. And that's pretty much it for this part. It looks like the earphone. This is very similar to a OnePlus 6T with the exception of the camera in the back. We even have a fingerprint sensor under the display. So let me go ahead and boot this up and then I'll talk about the specs. So we'll turn it on. Now this comes in right around $578. That's what I could find it for in the United States on Amazon. You may be able to find it a little bit less expensive or more depending where you live. Like I said before, it is a dual SIM and it has a 6.4-inch AMOLED 2340 by 1080 with 402 pixels per inch. It's also using Corning's Gorilla Glass 6. It runs Android 8.1 with ColorOS 5.2. We'll see if there's an update for that later. And it also has Qualcomm Snapdragon 710 with 8 gigabytes of RAM, an Adreno 616 GPU, and 128 gigabytes of storage. Like I said before, on the back it has 3 cameras, and what's interesting about these cameras is the top one is a time of flight 3D stereo camera. So this is for scanning 3D images. We'll take a look at that in a moment. We have a 12 megapixel camera here with an f1.5 to 2.4 adjustable aperture with dual pixel autofocus. It also has a 20 megapixel f2.6 aperture. And then it can record at 4K, we hit 30p, and then also has a 3700 milliamp hour battery with that super VOOC charging, which charges supposedly to 40% in 10 minutes and doesn't take much over 30 minutes to actually charge it from 0 to 100. And the phone does not have an IP rating as far as its water resistance and dust resistance. Now, after I set this up, you'll see the fingerprint sensor works pretty well. It's under the screen. It works pretty well. I've used this on a OnePlus 6T. This actually feels a little bit more responsive for some reason. So it's nice and fast. Now the back is glass and the back does not have wireless charging, but we do have that super VOOC charging. The phone is set up and this is the default home screen. Now, of course, you can change this all around, but everything so far feels really fast and smooth. You do have this smart assistant built in. I've been trying to make it work with Google Assistant, and you can do that by holding here. That's a fast way to get to it, but I haven't been able to find a way to just make it slide over here without changing one of the themes, which I may do later on. Now, this was the default wallpaper and everything installed, and you'll see it installed Opera as the main browser. And then one of the things that's kind of nice is if we go into settings here, you'll see we can customize just about everything. Home screen and lock screen magazine. We've got a bunch of different settings we can customize. And if I go back here, let's take a look at About Phone, and you'll see that this one is, like I said, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Unfortunately, it's Android 8.1.0, so hopefully they update this soon. That's the only thing that's a little bit behind, and the security patch is October 2018. So that part is the only disappointing part about this so far. Everything's super fast and responsive, and it lays out the themes like this. Now, these are all installed by default with the exception of Pubg, which we'll take a look at in a little bit, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is basically the same. If you open the camera app, it's pretty fast, and we'll take a look at pictures in a moment, but the default layout of this is quite nice. Let's take a look at Pubg, because this was pretty fast as far as it playing. Now, you do have these quick icons here off to the side, which is nice. You just swipe in, and you can get to it very quickly. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Now, all the settings are set to high. I'm waiting for it to load, but one thing that's nice is if I hit this button here, it shows us in the tasker how much of the RAM we're actually using. So we're using 3.40 gigabytes of 8 gigabytes available. So we'll go back here and hit OK. That's fine. We'll leave everything on high, and we'll wait for the game to load. We'll hit start and see how it actually performs. Now, there is only one speaker. Unfortunately, it's not stereo speakers. Let me turn that down. And you can see it actually looks really, really nice. Let's go forward here. It looks as pretty close to a PC. I've played this on full resolution on PC, and this is probably the best I've seen. It's actually pretty smooth. And we'll wait for it. You'll see here, frame rate's pretty good. This usually slows down even on a PC unless you have a really good graphics card. So you'll see I'm playing Pubg. It's working well. I'm doing pretty well also. The frame rate is nice. It's easy to play on here because everything's so smooth. And it uses some battery. I'm down to 6% battery, so I'm going to play this until it's completely drained so that I can test the battery itself and see how fast it charges. But overall, it's doing pretty well. It does get a little bit warm here in the top left of the phone. Not hot, but a little bit warm. And overall, I think it'll handle just about any game if it will play this pretty well. So no issues here. Now the battery's completely drained. I waited until the phone actually shut off, so we know it's at 0. So we'll get the charger here. Take this little sleeve off. I'll plug it in, and then we'll time it to see what kind of charge speed we get. Should be 40% in 10 minutes and just over a half hour to fully charge it. So we're plugged in. Let's go ahead and plug in the phone. We'll turn it over and see what we get. So we'll hit start, and it's charging. Let's see what we get. So we're at 1% in 10 seconds. So let's see what we have here. It's 5 minutes now. Let's see what we're at. We're at 22% in 5 minutes. So another 5 minutes, we should be at our 40%. It's pretty impressive how fast this is charging. We're at the 10-minute mark. Let's see what we're at. And we're at 39%, so it's basically 40%. That's pretty impressive. I thought maybe it'd be a little bit over that, but that's pretty good, and it just turned to 40% at 10 minutes and 12 seconds. So I think it's pretty close to what they're saying. Let's see how long it takes to fully charge now. It has been 30 minutes, so let's see what we're at. We're at 91% after 30 minutes. And the funny thing is, the phone isn't even hot. So you'd think it'd be really hot. It's not. So we're at 92% now. We're at 99% at 38 minutes. So I'll guess another 2 to 5 minutes. So after 40 minutes, we're 100% charged. And the back is not really that warm. We're at 29 degrees or so Celsius, or 84 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's pretty impressive. I did test the temperature of the charger. It hit about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's pretty impressive for charging a phone. 40 minutes from 0% to 100%. I have seen it at 35 minutes in some other videos. This is what I got with our current charger here. So I don't know if it's something to do between countries and voltages, but 40 minutes either way. Just for comparison, Apple says with the XS Max, you can charge this to 50% in just 30 minutes, where we get almost a full charge in 30 minutes with this phone. So that's really impressive. Now, all the applications on here that are installed by default, you cannot remove any of them, not easily anyway, as you can see there. Now, of course, Facebook we could. That was installed by default. We can delete that one. So some of these you can delete, some of them you cannot. And the display looks great. The viewing angle is quite good. The only thing is extreme angles you're not going to be able to see, but it's actually as good as any other OLED I've ever seen. Some of the best OLEDs out there. And one thing to note is they actually have a screen protector installed on here. It's very hard to see, but it is there, and it's installed by default. So that part's really nice. You can feel it just on the edges there, and this is going to be a fingerprint magnet. So let's take a look at some of the camera photos that it takes and see what it looks like. And so far I'm pretty impressed by the actual camera. I've only taken one photo right now. I'm going to take a bunch and you'll see them after I've taken them. This is the OPPO R17 Pro camera. It's video stabilized and it's in 4K, but only 4K 30 frames per second. So if you want that 60 FPS, you won't be able to do that. The actual cameras work pretty well and the photos look pretty good, but the problem is with the video quality. The colors don't look correct. They're very oversaturated and the quality's just not there, especially with the microphone as well. It's just not that great, but as a picture camera, it's quite nice. Now the forward-facing camera is quite good. It's 25 megapixels. You'll see it's got that dual pixel autofocus. It's tracking me around and it stays locked on. So you want to focus either with video or photos. It's quite good that way. And then you have different AI smart beauty modes. You can turn that off and it's in real time when it's actually showing you a preview. So that part's really nice. Now, the overall experience of the phone's quite good. The battery lasts quite a long time. I've only charged this a couple times and I've been very impressed, as while I haven't had my main SIM card in it the entire time, the battery holds up pretty well. Let's go to battery. You'll see we're at 27%. It's giving me optimization options. And overall, its usage, you'll see expected usage is about 7 hours, 39 minutes. So it'll easily get you through a day. And then if you want to just plug it in, charge it in 30 minutes, and you're done for most of the day. That'll get you over 90% usually, and you're pretty much good to go at that point. And the only complaint I have to say is a lack of stereo speakers and wireless charging, but that super Voot charging is really making up the difference because it's so fast. But that's it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Thanks to OPPO for sending this along, or OPPO, depending where you're from. I'm not sure the best way to pronounce this, as we don't have this company in the United States. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I do like this color and think it's really nice as well. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.